The stars looked cold and empty in the darkness of space. Admiral Kethfer stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking out at the fleet that surrounded him. 200 ships floated in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the light of distant suns. Each ship was a weapon of war, built to destroy and conquer. Kethfer's purple scales caught the light as he moved. His people, the Zephyrians, had ruled this part of the galaxy for 1,000 years. They were strong, smart, and their weapons could turn planets into dust. But now something bothered him. The humans were growing too fast, spreading to too many worlds. "Admiral," said his second-in-command, Captain Vextar, "the fleet is ready. All ships report weapons are charged and shields are up." Kethfer nodded. Slowly, the humans had been quiet for too long. Their ships were small and weak, or so his spies reported. Their colonies had few defenses. It was time to show them that the galaxy belonged to the Zephyrians. "Send the message to all ships," Kethver ordered. "We move to the human colony in 1 hour. Today, we end their expansion." Far away on the human colony of New Phoenix, Jake Collins was having a normal morning. He was drinking coffee and reading reports when his computer started beeping. The sound made his stomach drop. Emergency signals meant trouble, and trouble usually meant people were going to die. Jake ran to the communication center. Lisa Morgan was already there, her face pale as she stared at the screens. Lisa ran the colony's defenses, but everyone knew they didn't have much to defend with. "What is it?" Jake asked. "Long-range sensors picked up something big," Lisa said. Her voice was shaking, really big. 200 ships, maybe more. They're coming this way. Jake felt his blood turn cold. 200 ships was an invasion fleet. New Phoenix had maybe 6 patrol boats and a few old fighters. They had no chance. "How long do we have?" he asked. "Maybe 6 hours before they reach us," Lisa said. "I'm sending word to all the other colonies, but help won't come in time." Captain Van Torres walked into the room. He was the leader of the colony's small group of Marines. Ben was a good soldier, but he only had 50 men. What could 50 Marines do against 200 warships? "I heard the alarm," Ben said. "How bad is it?" Lisa showed him the sensor readings. Ben's face went dark as he looked at the numbers. "We need to start moving people out," he said. "Get the transports ready." Jake nodded and started sending messages to all parts of the colony. People needed to pack only what they could carry. The transport ships were old and slow, but they might be able to get some people to safety. News spread fast through New Phoenix. Soon, families were loading onto ships with tears in their eyes. Children cried as they left their homes behind. Old people sat quietly, knowing they might not live to see another world. The colony had been their home for 10 years. They had built farms, schools, and shops. They had made New Phoenix into a real place where people could live and be happy. Now they had to leave it all behind. Jake watched from the command center as ship after ship left the colony. Each one carried 100 people to safety, but there were still thousands more waiting. The math was simple and terrible. They didn't have enough ships or enough time. "Admiral," Captain Vextar reported to Kethfer, "our scouts confirmed the humans are running. Their transports are leaving the colony." Kethfer smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Good. Fear makes them smart, but some will stay behind. We will make an example of them." The Zephyrian fleet moved through space like a dark cloud. Each ship was 3 times bigger than the largest human vessel. Their weapons could destroy a city with one shot. Their shields could stop anything the humans might throw at them. Back on New Phoenix, Lisa was working at her computer when something strange happened. A message appeared on her screen, but it didn't come from any of their ships or colonies. The words were simple, but gave her hope. "Hold position. Help is coming. She called Jake over to look at the message. Where did this come from? He asked. I don't know, Lisa said. The computer can't trace it. But look at this. She pointed to some numbers on the screen. These are human codes, but they're not like any we use. Jake stared at the words. Help is coming. But help from where? All the human colonies were far away, and none of them had big warships. The human fleet was small and scattered across dozens of worlds. Maybe it's a trick, Ben said when they told him about the message. The aliens might be trying to make us stay so they can kill more of us. But something about the message felt different. It felt real. Jake made a choice that would change everything. Tell the transports to slow down, he said. Keep loading people, but don't run yet. Maybe, just maybe, someone is coming to help us. Lisa looked at him like he was crazy. Jake, we're talking about 200 warships. What kind of help could possibly be enough? Jake didn't have an answer. He just had a feeling that something important was about to happen. In the cold darkness of space, the Zephyrian fleet was getting closer. But somewhere else, something was moving too. Something that would change the fate of every human in the galaxy. The waiting began. Space around New Phoenix was quiet and dark. Then, without warning, it wasn't quiet anymore. The Zephyrian fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a pack of metal wolves. 200 ships appeared at once, their hulls black against the stars. Admiral Keffer stood on his bridge and smiled. The human colony looked small and helpless from here. He could see their little transport ships trying to run away. It was almost too easy. All ships take attack positions, Keffer ordered. Surround the colony. Don't let any of their ships escape. The Zephyrian fleet spread out like a net. Each ship was bigger than anything the humans had ever built. Their weapons were charged and ready. This would be over quickly. On New Phoenix, Jake Collins watched the enemy ships on his screens. There were so many of them. Each dot on the screen was a warship that could destroy his whole colony. His hands were shaking as he tried to count them all. 212 ships, Lisa Morgan said. Her voice was calm, but Jake could see the fear in her eyes. They have us surrounded. Captain Ben Torres came running into the command center. His Marines were ready to fight, but they all knew it was hopeless. The transports are still loading people, he said. We need more time. We don't have more time, Jake said. He looked at the alien fleet getting closer. Maybe we should surrender. Maybe they'll let some people live. But before anyone could answer, something impossible happened. The space near the colony started to change. It looked like someone was tearing a hole in reality itself. The stars bent and twisted around a spot of pure darkness. What is that? Lisa whispered. Something was coming through the hole in space. It was big, bigger than any ship Jake had ever seen. The hull was black, so black it seemed to eat the light around it. The ship was smooth and clean, with no rough edges or ugly parts. I'm getting a signal, Lisa said. She was staring at her computer screen. It's human. Jake couldn't believe it. A human ship? Out here? But their biggest warships weren't even half the size of this thing. And how did it just appear? Like that? Humans didn't have that kind of technology. The new ship sent a message to the colony. New Phoenix Colony, this is the UHS Tempest. Please respond. Jake grabbed the microphone with shaking hands. This is Jake Collins, Colony Administrator. Who are you? Where did you come from? The answer came from a man with a calm, steady voice. This is Captain Alex Turner. We received your distress signal. We're here to help. Jake looked at Lisa and Ben. None of them had sent any distress signal to this ship. How did Captain Turner even know they were in trouble? Captain Turner, Jake said, we have 200 enemy warships surrounding us. You need to get out of here before they destroy you too. There was a pause. Then Captain Turner spoke again, and Jake could hear something like amusement in his voice. "Don't worry about us, Mr. Collins. We can handle the situation." On the bridge of the Tempest, Captain Alex Turner looked at the Zephyrian fleet on his screens. Next to him stood Commander Kate Sullivan, his second in command. At the weapons station, Lieutenant Ryan Adams was checking his systems. 212 ships, Kate said. Standard Zephyrian battle formation. They're not very creative. They don't need to be creative when they have that many ships, Ryan said. But he didn't sound worried. Their weapons are about 50 years behind. Ours, Captain Turner nodded. The Tempest was from a different time, a different version of humanity. They had been watching this moment, waiting for it. The future of the human race depended on what happened here today. Admiral Kethvar stared at the new human ship on his screens. It was big, yes, but it was still just one ship against his entire fleet. He opened a communication channel. "Unknown human vessel," Kethvar said, his voice full of authority. "You are trespassing in Zephyrian space. Surrender immediately, or be destroyed." Captain Turner's response was simple. No. That one word made Kethvar angry. No human had ever said no to a Zephyrian admiral before. "You have 10 seconds to surrender, or I will order my fleet to destroy you." "Admiral," Captain Vextar said quietly, "that ship... our sensors can't get a good reading on it. The technology is strange." Kethvar didn't care about strange technology. He had 200 ships. One human ship, no matter how advanced, couldn't fight them all. 10 seconds are up, Kethvar announced. "All ships, prepare to fire on the human vessel." On New Phoenix, people were watching from their windows and screens. They saw the alien fleet turning toward the mysterious black ship. Everyone knew what was about to happen. The aliens were going to destroy humanity's only hope. Jake tried to call Captain Turner again. "Captain, you need to run. They're about to attack." But Turner's voice was still calm. "Mr. Collins, please keep your people away from windows for the next few minutes. Things are about to get bright out here." Jake didn't understand what that meant, but something in Turner's voice made him trust the man. "Everyone get down." Jake shouted, "Stay away from the windows." On the Tempest, Commander Kate Sullivan was reading her instruments. "All Zephyrian ships have weapons locked on us," she reported. "Interesting," Captain Turner said. He looked almost bored. "Ryan, are our defenses ready?" Lieutenant Adams smiled. "More than ready, sir. Should I show them what real weapons look like?" "Not yet," Turner said. "Let's see what they can do first. Maybe they'll surprise us." But everyone on the Tempest knew that wouldn't happen. The Zephyrians were using old technology, old tactics, old thinking. They had no idea what they were. Really facing Admiral Kethvar raised his hand. Around him, 200 warships charged their weapons. Energy cannons glowed. Missile tubes opened. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Fire!" Kethvar shouted. 200 ships fired at once. The space around the Tempest filled with energy beams and explosions. For a moment, the black ship disappeared in a cloud of fire and light. When the light faded, the Tempest was still there. It hadn't moved. It didn't even look damaged. The alien weapons had done nothing to it at all. Admiral Kethvar stared at his screens in shock. That was impossible. Nothing could survive that much firepower. Nothing. Captain Turner's voice came over the communication channel, still calm and friendly. "Is that all you have? We were expecting something more impressive." For the first time in his life, Admiral Kethvar felt afraid. Admiral Kethvar could not believe what he was seeing. His entire fleet had just fired on one human ship. They had used enough weapons to destroy a city. But the black ship called Tempest was still there, floating in space like nothing had happened. Impossible, Kethver whispered. His purple scales were darker now, the way they got when he was scared or angry. Run a full scan on that ship. I want to know what it's made of. Captain Vexstar worked at his controls, but the readings made no sense. Admiral, our sensors can't understand their hull material. It's like the ship is absorbing our weapons instead of being damaged by them. Kethver's hands turned into fists. In all his years of war, he had never seen anything like this. The humans were supposed to be weak. Their technology was supposed to be simple. But this ship was something else entirely. Send 12 destroyers. To attack that ship, Kethver ordered. Fast ships, close range. Let's see how tough it really is. The 12 fastest Zephyrian ships broke away from the main fleet. They were sleek and deadly, built for quick attacks. Each one carried enough weapons to destroy a space station. They moved toward the Tempest like hunting cats. On the colony, Jake Collins watched the enemy ships getting closer to their mysterious protector. They're sending more ships, he told Lisa Morgan. 12 of them, coming in fast. Lisa was trying to understand what was happening. How is that ship still in one piece? They hit it with everything they had. Captain Ben Torres was watching too. As a soldier, he knew about weapons and armor, but he had never seen anything that could take that much damage without even getting a scratch. Maybe it's some kind of new human technology, Ben said, but even he didn't sound like he believed. On the bridge of the Tempest, Commander Kate Sullivan was tracking the approaching Zephyrian destroyers. 12 ships incoming, attack formation. They'll be in weapons range in 30 seconds. Captain Alex Turner looked at the approaching ships on his screen. They were moving fast, but to him they seemed slow and clumsy. What do you think, Ryan? Should we let them get closer? Lieutenant Ryan Adams was standing at his weapons station. The controls in front of him looked nothing like the weapon systems on other human ships. They were smooth and clean, with lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. I think they've had enough chances, Ryan said. Besides, the colony is watching. We should show them what humans can really do. Turner nodded. Very well. Weapons free. Ryan's hands moved over his controls like he was playing music. The Tempest's weapons were not like anything the galaxy had ever seen. They didn't fire bullets or energy beams. They did something much worse that the 12 Zephyrian destroyers were almost close enough to fire when it happened. Lines of light appeared in space, connecting the Tempest to each attacking ship. But these weren't normal weapon beams. They looked like tears in reality itself. The first destroyer simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, flying through space with weapons ready. The next moment, there was nothing. No explosion, no debris, no emergency signals. The ship was just gone. The second destroyer vanished the same way, then the third. Then all of them, one after another, in perfect sequence. In less than 10 seconds, 12 warships had been removed from existence. Admiral Kethver stared at his screens in horror. The readings showed nothing where his ships used to be. Not destroyed ships, not wreckage. Nothing at all. What happened to them? He demanded. Captain Vexstar was working frantically at his controls. I don't know, Admiral. They just being there. Our sensors show empty space. On New Phoenix, the colonists who were watching saw something that would stay in there. Mines forever. 12 enemy ships had attacked their protector. 12 ships had simply disappeared. The black human ship hadn't even moved. Did you see that? Lisa whispered. They're just gone. Jake was staring at the empty space where the alien ships used to be. How is that possible? What kind of weapons can do that? Captain Ben Torres had fought in many battles, but he had never seen anything like this. Those aren't weapons, he said quietly. That's something else, something beyond weapons. The communication channel crackled to life. Captain Turner's voice was as calm as ever. "Admiral Kethvar, this is your only warning. Take your fleet and leave this system. If you attack again, we will defend ourselves." Kethvar's fear was turning into rage. He had lost 12 ships to one human vessel. His reputation, his career, his life were all at risk now. If he went home defeated by humans, the Zephyrian Emperor would have him executed. All ships. Kethvar shouted into his communicator. "Prepare for full attack. Every weapon, every ship. I want that human vessel destroyed." Captain Vextar looked worried. "Admiral, maybe we should retreat. We don't understand their technology. This could be a trap." But Kethvar was beyond listening to reason. "No, we are Zephyrians. We do not. Run from humans. All ships. Attack pattern Omega. Surround that ship and destroy it." The remaining ships of the Zephyrian fleet began to move. 188 warships, the most powerful military force the Zephyrian Empire had ever assembled, prepared for a final attack. On the Tempest, Commander Kate Sullivan watched the enemy fleet repositioning. "They're committing everything. Captain, full fleet attack, coming from all directions." Captain Turner looked almost sad. "They had their chance to leave. Now we have no choice." Lieutenant Ryan Adams was checking his weapon systems again. "All systems ready, Captain, though this feels almost unfair." "Fair or not, we have a job to do," Turner said. "The timeline must be protected. Humanity's future depends on what happens here today." Jake Collins was trying to get more transports loaded with people when the final attack began. He could see on his screens that every alien ship was moving toward the Tempest. This was it. Either their mysterious protector would save them, or they would all die. "All transports, emergency departure," Jake ordered. "Get as many people out as you can." But even as he said it, he knew it was too late. The alien ships were everywhere. There was no escape now. Admiral Kethvar watched his fleet surround the human ship. Soon, the Tempest would face the combined firepower of the entire Zephyrian battle fleet. No ship, no matter how advanced, could survive that. "This ends now," Kethvar said. The Zephyrian fleet moved like a closing fist around the Tempest. 188 warships took positions in a perfect sphere, with the mysterious human vessel at the center. Admiral Kethvar had never used this many ships against a single target before. Nothing could survive what was about to happen. "All ships report ready," Captain Vextar announced. "Every weapon in the fleet is aimed at the human ship." Kethvar felt a moment of satisfaction. The humans had embarrassed him, but now he would show them the true power of the Zephyrian Empire. When this was over, there would be nothing left of their strange black ship. "All vessels," Kethvar spoke into his communicator. "Fire everything. Hold nothing back. Destroy that ship completely." 188 warships fired at the same time. The space around the Tempest exploded with light and energy. Missiles streaked through the darkness. Energy beams bright enough to blind filled the void. The attack was so powerful that the light could be seen from 3 star systems away. On New Phoenix, the colonists had to cover their eyes. The battle was like watching a new star being born. Jake Collins held his breath, waiting to see if their protector would survive. The attack lasted for 30 seconds. When it finally stopped, space was filled with smoke and glowing gas. The Zephyrians had used enough weapons to turn a planet into dust. Surely nothing could live through that. Admiral Kethvar waited for his sensors to clear. Any moment now, they would show empty space where the human ship used to be. He would return home as the admiral who ended the human threat forever. But when the smoke cleared, the Tempest was still there. Not only was it undamaged, it looked exactly the same as before. The hull was still perfect black. There wasn't even a scratch on it. How? Kethver whispered. How is that possible? On the bridge of the Tempest, Captain Alex Turner was looking at his screens with mild interest. The enemy attack had been impressive to watch, but his ship's defenses had handled it easily. Hull temperature increased by 0.01%, Commander Kate Sullivan reported. Otherwise no effect. Lieutenant Ryan Adams turned to face his captain. Sir, they've had their chance. Multiple chances, actually. Request permission to end this. Turner nodded slowly. The timeline must be protected. Do what you have to do, Ryan. Ryan's hands moved over his controls, but this time he wasn't holding back. The Tempest's true weapons came online. These weren't just energy beams or missiles. They were tools that could change the laws of physics themselves. The first thing that happened was impossible. Space around the Tempest began to bend. Stars that were far away suddenly looked close. Light twisted into shapes that hurt to look at. Reality itself was being changed. Admiral Kethver watched his instruments go crazy. What's happening? What are they doing? Sir, Captain Vextar said, his voice full of fear. Our readings don't make sense. They're changing space itself. The Tempest began to move, but not like a normal ship. It didn't use engines or thrusters. Instead, it folded space around itself, stepping through reality like walking through doors. It appeared next to groups of Zephyrian ships, did something impossible, then moved on to the next group. The first 10 ships simply stopped existing. Not destroyed, not broken apart, just gone. The Tempest had somehow deleted them from reality. All ships, retreat. Kethver shouted, but it was too late. The Tempest was everywhere at once, moving through space in ways that broke every law of physics. 20 more ships vanished, then 30. The human vessel wasn't fighting a battle. It was conducting an execution. Each group of Zephyrian ships faced the Tempest for a few seconds, then ceased to exist. Captain Vextar was trying to make sense of what he was seeing. Admiral, they're not using normal weapons. They're using something that changes matter itself. Our ships aren't being destroyed. They're being unmade. 50 ships gone. 70. 100. The most powerful fleet in Zephyrian history was being erased like marks on a board. On New Phoenix, the colonists watched in amazement and terror. Jake Collins couldn't understand what he was seeing. Ships were disappearing, but there were no explosions, no fires, no debris. The enemy vessels were just there one moment and gone the next. What kind of technology is that? Lisa Morgan whispered. Captain Ben Torres was a soldier, but he had never seen anything like this. That's not technology. He said, that's something else. Something beyond what we understand. The Tempest continued its work. Groups of enemy ships tried to run, but space folded around them, bringing the black ship right to their location. Some Zephyrian vessels tried to fight back, firing desperately at their attacker. But their weapons passed through empty space. As the Tempest stepped between dimensions, Admiral Kethver watched his fleet die around him. Ships that had taken years to build were being removed from existence in seconds. Crews of thousands were simply ceasing to be. The human ship moved through his forces like death itself. We have to surrender, Captain Vextar shouted. We have to try to save who we can. But when Kethver tried to send a surrender signal, he found that the Tempest wasn't accepting communications anymore. The time for talking was over. 150 ships gone. 160. The Zephyrian fleet that had ruled the galaxy was being reduced to nothing. The few remaining ships tried to scatter, but the Tempest was faster than thought itself. Captain Turner watched the destruction from his bridge with no emotion on his face. This wasn't personal. This wasn't revenge. This was just what had to happen to protect humanity's future. Tactical assessment, he said to Commander Sullivan. 18 enemy vessels remaining, Kate reported. They're trying to escape to hyperspace, but we're blocking their jump points. Finish it, Turner ordered. Ryan Adams made one final adjustment to his controls. Reality twisted one last time, and the remaining Zephyrian ships simply faded away like bad dreams in less than 10 minutes. The most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen was completely gone. Where 200 warships had been, there was now only empty space and the silent black shape of the Tempest. Admiral Kethvar and his entire fleet had been removed from existence. No wreckage marked their passing. No signals told of their fate. They had simply stopped being part of the universe. The Tempest floated alone in the darkness, untouched and victorious. On New Phoenix, 10,000 colonists stared in stunned silence at their savior. They had just witnessed something that would change their understanding of what humans could become. The impossible had happened. One human ship had destroyed Enchi. Entire alien fleet without taking any damage. But the biggest mystery was still to come. Who were these humans, and where had they come from? The space around New Phoenix was quiet again. Where 200 alien warships had been threatening to destroy the colony, there was now only empty darkness and stars. The Tempest floated peacefully near the planet, its black hull reflecting. No light. Jake Collins sat in his chair, staring at the communication panel. His hands were shaking as he tried to understand what had just happened. One human ship had just destroyed the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. It was impossible, but he had seen it with his own eyes. Mr. Collins, Captain Turner's calm voice, came through the speakers. Are you and your people safe? Jake grabbed the microphone. We're fine. But what just happened? How did you do that? Who are you? There was a pause before Turner answered. That's a complicated question, Mr. Collins. May I speak with you and your senior staff? There are things you need to know. 20 minutes later, Jake, Lisa Morgan, and Captain Ben Torres were sitting in the colony's main conference room. The wall screen showed Captain Turner's face. He looked human, but there was something different about him. His uniform was unlike anything they had seen before, and his eyes seemed to hold knowledge of things beyond their understanding. First, Turner said, let me congratulate you on your courage. Staying to defend your colony took real bravery. We didn't defend anything, Ben said. You did all the fighting. Turner smiled slightly. You defended something very important. Captain Torres, you defended hope. Lisa leaned forward. Captain Turner, we need answers. What ship are you commanding? What fleet do you belong to? We've never seen technology like yours. That's because this technology doesn't exist yet, Turner said. Not in your time. The three colonists looked at each other in confusion. Our time? Jake asked. Commander Kate Sullivan appeared on the screen next to Turner. Mr. Collins, what we're about to tell you will be hard to believe. The Tempest isn't from your present. We're from your future. About 300 years in the future. The room was silent for a long moment. Finally, Ben spoke. You're saying you're time travelers? In a way, yes, Turner said. Though it's more complicated than that. We don't travel through time the way you might imagine. We observe it. We watch critical moments in human history to make sure they happen the way they're supposed to. Lisa was trying to process this information. You're from the future? And you came back to save us? Lieutenant Ryan Adams joined the conversation. From his position at the weapons station, the attack on New Phoenix was a key moment in human history. If the Zephyrian fleet had succeeded today, it would have started a war that humanity couldn't win. Your species would have been wiped out within 50 years. But instead, Turner continued, today marks the beginning of humanity's rise to become the dominant force in this galaxy. What happened here will be remembered as the day aliens learned to fear human power. Jake felt overwhelmed. You're saying that because you saved us, humanity becomes powerful in the future? Not because we saved you, Kate explained. We saved you because humanity becomes powerful. We're from that future. We're your descendants, and we have a responsibility to protect the timeline that led to our existence. Ben was skeptical. If you're so powerful, why don't you just share your technology with us? Why don't you help all human colonies? Turner's expression became serious, because that would create a paradox. If we give you our technology too early, you might develop differently. You might become different people. The future that created. Use might never happen. Time is fragile, Ryan added. Small changes can have huge effects. We can only interfere when the very survival of humanity is at stake. Lisa asked the question that was bothering all of them. How do you know what's supposed to happen? How do you know this is the right timeline? Because we lived through it, Kate said. In our history books, the Battle of New Phoenix is famous. One mysterious human ship destroyed an entire Zephyrian fleet and disappeared. For 300 years, no one knew where that ship came from. Now you know. Turner stood up on his bridge. The story of what happened here today will spread across the galaxy. Other alien races will hear that humans have weapons they don't understand. Some will be afraid. Some will be curious. But all of them will have new respect for your species. What happens next? Jake asked. Humanity continues to grow and explore. Turner said, you build bigger ships, establish more colonies, develop new technologies. In 50 years, you'll have your own fleet that can match the Zephyrians. In 100 years, you'll be one of the major powers in the galaxy. And in 300 years? Ben asked. Turner smiled. In 300 years, we become the guardians of time itself. We watch over the past to protect the future. We make sure that young species like yours have the chance to grow and become great. The conversation was interrupted by an alarm on the Tempest's bridge. Kate looked at her instruments and spoke to Turner. Captain, we have a temporal distortion approaching. We need to leave soon. Turner nodded and turned back to the colonists. Our time here is ending. We have to return to our own era before. Our presence creates problems. Wait, Lisa said urgently. Can you tell us anything else? About the future? About what we should do? Keep doing what you're already doing, Turner said. Explore, build, dream. Never give up, no matter how hopeless things look. The universe is big and dangerous, but humans have something special. We have hope, and we have each other. Ryan Adams looked up from his station. And remember this day. Remember that when aliens thought they could destroy humanity, we showed them they were wrong. The Tempest began to change. The space around it started to bend and twist the same way it had when the ship first arrived. Reality was preparing to open a door back to the future. One last thing, Turner said. The official report should say that the Zephyrian fleet was destroyed by an unknown human defense vessel. Don't mention time travel. Don't mention us by name. Some secrets need to be kept. Jake nodded. What should we tell people about you? Tell them that when humanity needed help, help came from other humans. Tell them that somewhere out there, humans are watching and protecting each other. Tell them that no matter how dark things get, humanity's future is bright. The hole in space grew bigger around the Tempest. The ship was already starting to fade as it prepared to return to its own time. But Turner's voice came through clearly. One last time. Jake Collins, Lisa Morgan, Ben Torres, remember this moment. Remember that you were part of something important. The future of humanity started here, with your courage and your choice to stand and fight. The communication ended. The Tempest was becoming transparent, like a ghost ship. The colonists watched as their mysterious savior prepared to leave them forever. Thank you, Jake whispered, even though he knew Turner couldn't hear him anymore. Black Ship gave off a soft light, and then it was gone. The hole in space closed with a sound like thunder. The stars returned to their normal positions. It was as if the tempest had never been there at all. But the empty space where the Zephyrian fleet used to be proved that it had all been real. 200 alien warships were gone forever. New Phoenix was safe. Over the next few hours, people began to return to the colony. The transport ships came back from wherever they had been hiding. Families hugged each other and cried with relief. Children asked their parents to tell them again about the magical ship that saved them. Jake spent the rest of the day writing his report to Earth Command. He kept it simple, just like Captain Turner had asked. An unknown human vessel had appeared and destroyed the alien fleet. The ship had then left without identifying itself. He didn't mention time travel. He didn't mention the future. But he made sure to write about the courage of the colonists and the power of human determination. What do you think really happened? Lisa asked him later that evening. They were standing outside, looking up at the stars. I think we met ourselves, Jake said. The people we're going to become someday. Ben Torres joined them. His Marines. We're celebrating in the cantina, but he wanted some quiet time to think. Do you believe what they told us about the future? I want to, Lisa said. I want to believe that we become something great out there among the stars. Jake pointed up at the night sky. Somewhere up there, 300 years from now, humans are watching over us, making sure we survive, making sure we grow into something amazing. The Zephyrians won't bother us again, Ben said. Word of what happened here will spread. Alien race will want to face weapons like that. But it's not just about the weapons, Jake realized. It's about what those weapons represent. They represent humans who care enough about their past to protect it. They represent a future where we don't give up. 6 months later, the story of New Phoenix had reached every human colony in the galaxy. People told the tale of the mysterious black ship that appeared from nowhere and saved a colony from certain destruction. Some said it was an experimental Earth vessel. Others claimed it was built by colonists in secret, but the children who heard the story knew the truth in their hearts. The ship had been crewed by humans from the future, humans who came back to protect their ancestors when they needed help most. And in those same 6 months, something changed in the way humans looked at the galaxy. They walked taller. They spoke with more confidence. They built their ships a little bigger and their weapons a little